as we go carry the man keep the for inside bush. I mean, they bring food for them. He bring 2 of him boys wey dey take care of the work. Na misunderstanding between Oga Zeke and him boys wey dey take care of the work here. I make them kill the man.
There are some kidnapping cases that end with the victim being rescued. There are others where a ransom is paid. The family believes their loved one will finally come home, and everyone waits for that phone call telling them that the nightmare is over. But in this case, that phone call never came. Instead, the family of 33-year-old man named Ereba Gospel Dinabari would eventually discover that the money they had raised to save his life had changed nothing. Because while they were waiting for his kidnappers to release him, Ereba was already dead. And what the police eventually found in a forest in Rivers State revealed just how far the kidnappers were willing to go. This is the story of Ereba Gospel Dinabari, a kidnapping that ended in murder, a ransom that failed to save a life, and the investigation that eventually led police to a decomposing body tied to a tree. This is Crime Talk Naija. Click on subscribe button so you never miss a video. It was May 15, 2020 in Woji, Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Ereba Gospel Dinabari was going about his normal activities when he was suddenly abducted. According to the Rivers State Police Command, the kidnappers took him away and demanded a ransom from his family. For the family, this was the beginning of every family's worst nightmare. A loved one had been taken, but at least there was still hope. The kidnappers had made a demand that meant in their minds that if the money was paid, Ereba would come back alive. The family reportedly raised and paid 1 million naira as ransom. They did what the kidnappers demanded. They paid the money and they waited for Ereba to be released. But the release never happened. Instead, the kidnappers disappeared with the ransom and Ereba remained missing. Imagine paying money to save someone you love, believing that every naira you hand over is bringing the person closer to freedom. The family of Ereba had every reason to believe that the same thing would happen to them. But days passed. Ereba did not return. The silence became more frightening. Because normally, once a ransom has been paid, the family expects another call, a location, a warning, instructions, something. But in Ereba's case, the kidnappers did not release him. And eventually, investigators began looking beyond the ransom demanded. Something was terribly wrong. The Rivers State Police Command's anti-kidnapping unit began following the case. Investigators started working on the information surrounding Ereba's abduction and the people believed to be connected to the kidnapping. The investigation eventually took police toward Eleme, where detectives began closing in on members of the gang. Then on July 14, 2020, police operatives moved into the Alesa area. Their target was a group of people believed to be involved in the kidnapping. And that operation resulted in the arrest of the 2 men. Their names were Osundu Uchendu, 25 years old, Amos, 23 years old. At first, they were simply 2 suspects in a kidnapping investigation, but police were about to discover that the case was much darker than they initially thought. After their arrest, investigators questioned the 2 men about Ereba's disappearance. According to the police, the suspects eventually confessed to their involvement, and their information gave detectives something they were desperately needed: a location. The suspect led the police officers into a forest in Alesa, Eleme local government area. The area was isolated, away from the normal movement of people, a place where someone could be taken without attracting much attention. And somewhere in that forest, investigators discovered the horrifying answer to the question that had haunted Ereba's family for weeks. They found a body. The remains were already badly decomposed, and the body had been tied to a tree. It was Ereba Gospel Dinabari. The man whose family had paid 1 million naira for his ransom was no longer alive. The ransom had been paid, but the victim had never been released. The discovery shocked the investigators. Ereba had not simply disappeared, he had been taken into the forest and left there. Police reports described his decomposing body being found tied to a tree. Other reports from the time described the discovery of his skull and bones from the forest. For the family, the discovery meant that the painful uncertainty was finally over. But the answer was almost impossible to accept. They had paid the ransom. They had done what the kidnappers demanded, and still Ereba was dead. Police identified the two arrested suspects as Osundu Uchendu and Amos. Investigators said the two were members of a large kidnapping gang. Reports described the group as a 5-man gang, meaning that even after the arrests, other alleged members were still being sought. And according to the Rivers State Police Command, the suspects confessed to other kidnapping operations in different parts of the state. Investigators mentioned areas including Woji, Abuloma, Peter Odili Road, and Eleme communities. So, Ereba's kidnapping may not have been an isolated incident. The police believe they were dealing with a gang that had carried out other operations. But the investigation produced another important piece of evidence. Police recovered a Toyota Spider car belonging to Ereba. According to the reports, the suspects were arrested while trying to change the color of the vehicle. That vehicle became another link connecting the suspects to the murder man. The police now had suspects. They had the victim's vehicle. They had the location where Ereba's body was found. And they had the confessions investigator said had led them to the forest. The case that had started as a kidnapping has now been treated as a murder investigations. This is where the case becomes even more disturbing. According to the Guardian's report at the time, investigators were told that Ereba's killing followed a disagreement within the gang. The report said the victim was allegedly killed after a misunderstanding between the gang leader and other member, who believed that the agreed ransom had not been paid, while the leader had allegedly already collected the money. Whether every detail of that account was ultimately proven in court is another matter. But what is clear from the contemporary police reports is this: 1 million naira was paid as ransom, yet Ereba was never released. Instead, he was found dead in the forest. For the people who loved Ereba, the most painful part was knowing that they had actually done what the kidnappers demanded. They had paid, they had hoped, they had waited, but the person they were trying to save had already been lost. And while his family was waiting for his return, Ereba's body was lying in a remote forest in Alesa. Eventually, the police brought journalists to the location where the body had been discovered. Images from the scene showed one of the arrested suspects standing near the area where Ereba had been found. The story quickly spread across Rivers State and beyond. A kidnapping had ended with the discovery of a decomposing body tied to a tree. Another disturbing part of the investigation was what the police said the suspects revealed after their activities. According to the Rivers State Police Command, the suspects confessed to have carried out several other kidnappings around Rivers State. The areas mentioned include Woji, Abuloma, Peter Odili Road, and Eleme. That meant investigators were no longer looking at only one victim. They were potentially looking at an entire network of kidnappers operating across different communities. And this raised another question: how many other families had experienced the same fear? How many other victims had disappeared without their families knowing what had happened to them? And how many people were still out there waiting for answers? Police said efforts were continuing to arrest other members of the gang who remained at large. The case became another reminder of the terrifying reality of kidnapping in Nigeria. A person can disappear, a family can be forced to raise a ransom, money can change hands, and yet, even after the ransom is being paid, there may be no guarantee that the victim will come home alive. For Ereba Gospel Dinabari, that was exactly what happened. His family paid the money, the kidnappers kept him, and eventually, police found him dead. His final moment remains one of the darkest parts of the story, but his death also became the evidence that allowed investigators to begin dismantling the gang responsible. This is why cases like Ereba's must not simply disappear from public memory. Behind every kidnapping case is a human being, a son, a brother, a husband, a father, and a family waiting for someone to come home. Ereba Gospel Dinabari never got that chance. His story should not be forgotten. What do you think about this case? Do you believe kidnapping gangs should face the strongest possible punishment when a victim is killed even after ransom has been paid? And what do you think should be done to prevent family from going through tragedies like this? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Click on the subscribe button for Crime Talk Naija so that you be the first person to be seeing our videos whenever we upload a new video.
It is a great loss to us as a family. He was a very promising young man who has been struggling to forge ahead in life, only to come to this situation. I really don't know how to express my feelings concerning this.